Welcome back to another episode interview with Rabbit on YouTube channel. As you know, we wanted to know correct information Web3 and blockchain space. I have a really valuable guest with me, co-founder and CEO of the WorkX project, Rik, with me. How is it going, man? How are you doing over there? How's it going?
I'm doing very well. It's an exciting time with only 4 days before our TGE, and it's 7 years coming together. So, of course, we are a little bit nervous. I think that's normal, but yeah, we have everything under control. We're very happy to see this thing come alive. So yeah, all
Yeah,
good.
you're gonna be launched soon. Following days, you guys launch your own token. I'm really excited to learn what you are doing and what kind of problem you guys solving, because I also create the content especially for Turkish community, and I don't know if you heard before, but Turkish community they are really active in the crypto space. So that is why I'm pretty sure the Turkish community are also really excited for this launch. All right, let's get started. Before the start, could you tell us yourself and what you are doing, your experience, especially who is those don't know your background?
Yeah, sure thing. So, my name is Rik. I'm the co-founder of WorkX. WorkX is a project that we already started like 7 years ago. That's when I just finished university, and I grew up seeing my father build an executive search company in the Netherlands. And I was really interested in that because I saw what a match between a company and a person could do for both, which is great. But at the same time, I was a bit more into technology, and I saw that it remained to be a very humanly dominated job, which also makes sense because the experience, intuition, network of a recruiter is vital for the success of that matchmaking process. But at the same time, yeah, me and my co-founder, we are in the space since 2012. We were just so excited to work on the opportunity of building a new infrastructure for work where we bring people and companies together peer to peer without any person in the middle. So the joke that we always made is like, my father gave me food, he gave me a home, he gave me education, and what is he doing? He's coming for my job now. So, but luckily, he will probably be with his pension when that actually happens, because he is already reaching that age. Yeah, this is a bit where we come from, and it's been such a long journey because we bootstrapped the company from the beginning. So we spent 2 years speaking with more than 100 companies to find out what is the real demand, what is the real problem that we're solving here, just to make sure that we don't spend money without even knowing if people want it, right? So that entire process with proof of concepts, pilots, was took quite some time, but it brought us to a point where these companies said yes, like, Rik, if you can build this for us, then we definitely want to buy it. So yeah, 2 years ago we did our ICO. We were planning on launching straight away, but then the market went down. It got us fooled as well. Even after 3 cycles, we also were thinking we were going to push through 100K at that time. But yeah, we also knew that when that market goes down, historically much better to build through a bear market. Like, make sure you don't spend too much money on marketing because the marginal returns of those investments are relatively low. But just make sure you have your product ready and you are ready for that next cycle to come. So that's exactly what we did in the last 2 years. And now we're in a position with a platform which is already released. So a first version of our platform, which I will talk a lot more about in the next few minutes. Yeah, we believe we are in a very strong position right now to go to the market.
Cool, really cool. Yeah, really cool. So, could you tell us, especially what is WorkX and how does it work? And before this question, why you and your team have started with WorkX?
Yeah, so the core idea of years ago, which still stands today, is that we want to build like an internet of jobs, which is a place where people are connected peer to peer without any intermediaries, where people do not pay a commercial fee of up to 30% to some middleman who brings you together, but you only pay a small dynamic fee to maintain the cost of the infrastructure. See it as a public good. So of course, we have costs to maintain our platform, continuously innovate it. Imagine WorkX would exist 2 years ago. And I'm very sure that companies on our platform would want to see AI integrated into our platform, right? So that costs money. So the idea is that we have multiple components of all the things that we need to maintain, and innovation is one of them. And as we scale the platform, and also the technology becomes cheaper, because one of the things that you often see is that over time technology basically commodifies. It will be cheaper to develop. Years ago it was very expensive to build Upwork. Nowadays there is a lot of different code, open source, but also techniques. It's much easier to build it now, which means it's cheaper and therefore also more accessible. So in our minds it didn't make sense that these commercial platforms were still asking these ridiculously high fees for a piece of technology that isn't that expensive to run anymore. So of course there's a lot more to it, and I'm putting it in a really simple way here. But the core idea of what we do is bring people together, only let them pay for the cost of running that network. And in this way, the economic efficiency that we gain is flowing back to salaries of workers or lower costs for services, which makes them more accessible. So I will tell you more about the specifics, but this really is what we stand for. And yeah, what we're also not willing to compromise on.
Great. And what you think? What kind of problem you guys solve it as a WorkX?
Okay, it's a different market, but jump in a cab, ask any Uber driver and ask what he likes about Uber and ask what he doesn't like about it.
All right.
And I'll bet you that they will all tell you, okay, I'm kind of cheating now because I've asked 100 of them myself, but they will all tell you the application works brilliantly. I press a button, I have a customer, right?
All right.
The sad thing is that they don't earn a lot of money because all the money that's being earned is going to Uber, right? So, and we're living in a time where like salaries are already quite low and everything is expensive. Well, no, salaries are not low. They are actually relatively high. However, the cost of living has been relatively low. But now, with inflation that is skyrocketing, people are struggling to survive.
All right.
So what is the problem that we're solving here? We're doing this for the labor market, which can be very wide. But it can either be a director for a big corporate, or it can be a cleaner at a company, right? Which is now working through an intermediary company that is taking a big bunch of his or her salary, which makes it very hard to survive for this person. So we have a very wide scope, not only Web3, as you can see with other crypto job boards. We are really focused at both Web2 and Web3. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit, but hope this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It was really, really clear answer. But a lot of projects happening, a lot of projects, a lot of token launching nowadays. Maybe in the market cap around 25,000 over projects here. What makes you different to other projects? Why you guys really confident? And why you are so confident about yourself? What kind of different things, futures you have to other projects?
Yeah, well, I will for that question, I will compare to other Web3 job boards I see, because that's the closest thing that has a competitor that comes to WorkX.
All right.
Although I do believe that we are a little bit of a strange duck in that list, because the thing is that Web3 is great, and we love it, but at the same time we also see that it's in a very early phase, and the amount, like what we see with other competitors in the Web3 space, is that they really focus on Web3 jobs for big crypto projects, right? But the thing is that we're talking about 1,000 jobs potentially, maybe 1,500 in total across the entire industry. You can build a project and scale that right now. And that's not even the reason why we do what we do, but we just want to make sure that that the entire world is able to benefit from blockchain solutions, and that we don't have to deal with the burden of having them to onboard into Web3 with explaining them how MetaMask works. Like this involves a serious amount of risk management that not many people are familiar with or should be dealing with, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that you will never explain your grandma Now, okay, that's a bad example because she probably doesn't work anymore. But you get my point, right? There's a lot of people you shouldn't be trusting with their own management of funds, identity, data. So yeah, what we do is we try to replicate a user experience that we know works for people. So think about Upwork, think about Fiverr, think about Indeed or LinkedIn. We know what people want and what they're used to. We just got to make sure that when they pay for a decentralized job post on our platform, that they don't have to own crypto first and set up massive MetaMask, but they can just pay in fiat with credit, debit, PayPal, Stripe, whatever works, right?
Yeah.
And in the background, we basically bundle all those transactions. And once we have received for $1,000 or $10,000 in fees, then we buy back our own token of the market for them, which ends up in our treasury. And from there, we do multiple things to make our entire token economy work. So, long story short, I think what differentiates us from other projects is that we are not a Web3 job board. We are a like internet of jobs that makes it accessible for everyone, so that
Wow.
everybody can benefit.
What the really understand right now. It actually like a Web3 based job searching and everything, right? Something like this. So pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I totally understand.
Let me ask you one more question. Do you know what a TCP protocol is?
I heard before, but I don't have
Okay.
more information about it.
And you're already one step. Then you are already one step ahead. You're using it probably every day. You know, it's one of the it's one of the essential components in email and internet, but not many people who have to understand it. It's This is how I think about Web3. Obviously, it's not as easy as that because there's still a lot of key management involved. So if you're going to, like, for example, pay for a Web2 user that doesn't have to understand the crypto side, this also involves a custodial element, which is very tricky.
All right.
But I really believe in a Web 2.5 narrative where people should have the opportunity to work with a custodial service, which is very well audited and secured by trusted authorities. Because in the end, FTX was a great solution for many people if they were trusted, right? And they were audited and everything was in order, but it wasn't. So, however, that also doesn't mean that
Total
it's
disappointment.
DeFi is, you get me, right? It's about making it hybrid, accessible for people who want to take responsibility over their own funds, data, identity, allow them, help them, onboard them. But if people don't want it, or they should not want it, give them an alternative way to do it.
Great. And if you could describe with just 3 words to WorkX, what would it be and why? Interesting question, right?
So come again. In how many words? It's
Just
what do you
three
want?
words. If you could
Just
describe
three
with,
words.
what would it be?
Oh, it's a great question, of course, but it's there's this saying like, I wrote you a long letter because I don't have time for a short one. It takes a lot more time
I
to
got
think
it. I
about
got
a
it.
very short explanation, right? I would say transparent, first of all, because it's really important that um, as a candidate right now, I can make a resume, I can show it to you. And I always call it the nice weather show, right? I can put anything on there, I can show it to you, and you would think, okay, this looks beautiful. I can't trust it, but fine, And that transparency is super important in order for me as a company, if I'm hiring you, to trust that the information you present me is actually can be trusted. So what do we do to solve this? Is that we work with we try to verify work experience, where as a talent you can send a request to an old employer, which can verify that you have actually worked there. And based on the internet domain of the email address of your old employer, you can see whether this person who verified your work experience is actually working for that company, right?
Yeah.
So we are also have plans of integrating assessment marketplaces where you can measure your skills, or development courses where you can get certificates to show that you have the skills in your profile, right?
Yeah.
So one, transparency. Two is fair, right? It's about making sure that the efficiency of our product is flowing back to our users and not to some shareholders who are getting very, very rich of it, right?
Yeah.
It's so it should be a fair distribution of the funds, and yeah, to optimize the salaries and decrease the cost of services. And the third word, yeah, I would say efficient, because
Efficient.
our success our success really depends on how big that fee is, right? So
Fees.
taken as an yeah, so for example, right now you pay 30% fee on Upwork on every hour, right?
Yeah.
Like if we want to have that number as low as possible, that means the lower we get, the more efficient we get, which means by if we are able to take down our costs, so we're talking about economies of scale, economies of scope, learning effects, we should if we get more users, we can spread our cost over more users. So it's about scaling, and scaling up in users and scaling down in cost. If you are able to get that work, that means that salaries increase even more and cost of services decrease even more. So yeah, I think that's one of the most important elements of what we do, and also differentiates us from others, because I think if a decentralized network really scales and a lot of developers across the world, for example, are contributing to your open source stack, then you are able to create a system that's much larger than what a central organization can build, right? It's the power of community, the power of a big ecosystem.
Sure, I think it's a really good vision. And one more question from our communities: how can users utilize WorkX, and how can they benefit from it?
So you will be able to, everybody will be able to create a profile, right? So either if you are a talent, like a job candidate, a freelancer, or doesn't matter what you're looking for. If you're looking for a full-time job, a part-time job, or just a freelance gig, we offer all of those. You can just create a profile for free. Companies will be able to post job postings, and they can even use our AI assistant to help them with suggestions to create their job profile, because many companies don't know actually what they should be looking for. So we help them with this, of course, with great suggestions. And what in what sense they benefit? Yeah, already today you are able to collaborate with people without any fees in the middle. Like when we launch our token, we will also introduce our dynamic cost, like our dynamic fee model. And then that means that for every job posting you pay, there will be a fee that you need to pay, which will be drastically lower than what you will pay on, for example, in Indeed, where the average job post costs about $500 to $1,000, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, long story short, everybody can use it. Doesn't matter if you're a freelancer or a full-time job. Everybody can create a company as well. And in the near future, when you buy a job posting or buy a subscription for our AI assistant, you will be able to do that with or without crypto knowledge.
Thank you so much. And last question is: what kind of innovation will be coming in the near future on the WorkX platform? And could you tell us more, especially for future plan?
Yeah, so the next phase after launching our token, obviously, we will have multiple tracks where we will be developing. So on the product side, we will continue to improve our product, and I think the main points of what we will do here is build a software as a service solution for companies where we will help them to measure the skills of their employees. We will link that to their performance, and in this way, we are able to find patterns within well-performing groups of employees and see what they have in common. So if they have in common that they are great communicators, or have a background in healthcare, or as a preference is that they like to work remotely, or not at all, but just like to work in a very crowded office, I don't know. We want to find those patterns in an empirical way. And then the result of that is basically a job profile that you can use in, like, a successful job profile that you can use in two ways. Companies can use it to develop employees within their own organization, or with one click on a button, they create a job posting on WorkX. So this is great because we believe this will be great for us, because it will push for adoption on our platform. And we have a lot of companies who will be offering jobs on our platform, which is also interesting for talents to join, because if you're looking for work, you want to apply somewhere where there is interesting jobs available, right? And every platform has this chicken egg problem. What comes first? Is it the supply or the demand? So in our situation, we are in a good, because of the rich enterprise network that we have access to all these companies. So, but we need some time to properly onboard them all. So, yeah, basically on the product side, we will continue to develop the software as a service solution and also integrate it with WorkX so that we push for the adoption of WorkX. And at the same time, I will be jumping in my car and driving around on these companies and make
Yeah,
sure that we
that's
onboard them, because I've nurtured the relationship with these companies for 7 years and I know them very well. But now that we've finished our first product, it still needs to be onboarded, and you need some time for that. So what you can expect
it's
from us
normal.
in the next months is that we will be pushing more on business development. We will continue with product development. We have really established our marketing strategy as well, and that's what you're seeing right now is just a tip of the iceberg of what we will be continuing to do so. So yeah, exciting times coming ahead.
Yeah, we are also excited. Could you tell us launching date and which exchange will you listing on? Will you be listing on?
I unfortunately can't share that because I've signed an NDA.
All right.
The only thing I can say is that you will all be familiar with the name, and you will like it. So it will be announced a day before our listing, and we are listing on the 5th of December. And we will also be going on a DEX. So there will be both a CEX as a
Wow.
DEX. So
Pretty excited. We cannot wait for this date, man. Thank you. So, really, really nice to talk to you. I have already taken my answer from your thoughts, from your speech. Thank you so much for sharing us with your valuable thoughts. Thank you so much, Rick. If you would like to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And WorkX token will be launched on the 5th of December. And all of the details I'm gonna also drop the description section. Just stay tuned, follow us, and also don't forget to follow WorkX project on Twitter. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, man.